On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome back Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Coach McGann is the head coach of the 2026 Badger Small Conference champion Sauk-Prairie Eagles. From preseason doubts to a championship run, Coach McGann shares how mental toughness, emotional balance, and a belief inside the locker room fuel their incredible season. He hopes the Eagles will carry that belief into the postseason. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you're doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on all of those platforms, including Facebook at Survive and Thrive 8791. The podcast, don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you like what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, and success despite challenges. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Before I introduce our guest via cell phone today, I'd like to highlight our website, surviveandthrive8791.com. You can see what we are doing at Survive and Thrive 8791 and the events we are hosting. Matter of fact, on March 18th, 2026, we are hosting the Survive and Thrive 8791 Life Skills Mental Health and Wellness Conference. We have 11 speakers sharing their experiences and life skills that allowed them to survive and thrive. If you're a business or you're an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities, not only at the conference, but also on the podcast. Please contact us at surviveandthrive8791@gmail.com. This is our guest in episode intro, and according to the internet, and the internet has been always right for you the first 3 episodes. Is that
I've
still
actually started to
correct?
I've started to see some things that are incorrect.
You started to see some things that are incorrect.
Yeah.
Really?
There's a lot floating around.
There's a lot floating around. There is, but as you know, in my house, I don't need that. I've got my wife, Sarah, and she's always right.
Mm-hmm.
It's crickets on your end. Yeah. Crickets on your end.
No. Trust me, she is too. Jordan is always as well.
Jordan is always right. All right. According to an AI artificial intelligence overview, the high school basketball coaches face significant stress due to demanding schedules, pressures to win, and managing player and parent expectations, which can lead to burnout and exhaustion. Stressors include long hours for practices, games, and film study, dealing with difficult parents, and the emotional toll of making cuts or managing player playing time. Sources also mention financial concerns and the stress of maintaining a healthy work-life balance, and today's guest has been able to accomplish all of those relatively well. Today, welcome back Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. This is part 4 of a 5-part series where we follow Coach McGann and get a behind-the-scenes look into the life of a high school basketball coach. Sean grew up in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and attended Baraboo High School and is a proud Thunderbird. After high school, he would take his talents to the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point and join the Pointer men's basketball team. Sean was a member of the 2015 Division III National Championship basketball team his junior year and graduate with a degree in physical education and health. He is a teacher and boys basketball coach at Sauk-Prairie High School. Today, I'm so glad he could join us. Sean McGann, what is up?
I was saying, I hope you're not getting sick of hearing me, man, because I've really loved doing this.
No, I am not. And I'm already looking into counseling and therapy. After the last time we talked in March, I'm already considering therapy and counseling, that I won't be able to talk with you once a month.
Yeah, I hear ya.
But we might have to do some coffee and maybe Sauk or Wanakee, and
I would love that.
And catch up. But I know this isn't going to end, so that's a good thing. I think that we've gotten a little bond here, and I've getting a look at the behind the scenes of not only the program but also you as a person. And I don't know if I've mentioned this to the listeners, but I've known Sean since he was, I think, a junior year in high school, which would put you at like 16 or 17. And you currently are how old?
32.
32. So I guess I would say that I've known you almost half your life.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And you've pretty much kind of stayed the same person as when I first met you. You're a little gamey. I would say you have some confidence without being cocky, and you can have dialogue with an older person, which has been good. And I think that probably comes from your upbringing. Parents are just, good people as well. And they had to sell furniture, and you can't do that with a cocky attitude. You got to just be good people.
I appreciate you saying that. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's good stuff. And I found out before you hit record that you also have some potential Dell's blood flowing through your body. So that might be where that good guy stuff comes from.
Okay, we'll go with that.
It's 5:50, probably after practice, and you're taking time out of your schedule. And actually, you're taking time out of your son's schedule to do this, because I think you think this mental health stuff and talking to coaches or about coaching is important. But I mean, how's the little guy doing now? How old is he?
He is 8 months old actually today. It actually makes me a little emotional. He is really into solid foods now. He crawled for the first time last week, so now he's definitely got the skill down. He's crawling all over the place. I mean, I'm obviously biased, but he's just adorable, man. It's just every day I just fall more in love with him, and he has the best mom too. So it's been really fun to just see her grow into motherhood too. So
I can't wait to meet him someday. And I haven't met your wife yet, but if he's any reflection, and if your wife has obviously chosen very well, but again, personalities tend to match up, and if she's as good, if not better than you are, then that kid's going to grow up and be a high class citizen as well as a stud athlete.
Oh, I hope so. And I tell you what, actually, Jordan would be great to have on the pod. Like, she's by far the toughest person in the household. She's just went through a lot of stuff, and she just doesn't use it as an excuse. She just continues to love people hard, and just very lucky to have her as my partner. Well,
women in general are just tough. I had this conversation with another guest about a week or so ago, that what women's bodies have to go through childbirth and then different kinds of things that happen after child rearing days are over with. I have a whole lot of I've always had respect for women in general all my life, and what their bodies have to go through is remarkable, and then they can stay relatively sane and calm most of the time.
And you know what, dude? Like, I teach health, okay? I'm very well aware of how birth happens. But seeing it in person, it not even close is the toughest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm serious, dude. It is seriously inspiring. Yeah, I'm 100% totally agree with what you just said. They're tough as nails.
And we had to be tough as nails too when they hand us those clippers or those. You got to clip the umbilical cord. You want to do this? And everybody's going, yes, do it. Tim, Sean. And all of a sudden we get those shears in our hand. And that was a little bit, I consider myself a little tough because I did that 3 times.
Yeah, you are tough.
We digress. All right. Question of the day. And I know you're a big proponent of the question of the day. I think you mentioned you marched those bad boys out during your class or maybe your practice. Yep. But question of the day today was this. Concert T-shirts, bands, performers, groups. Do you have a favorite concert shirt? And if you don't, whose concert shirt would you like to have?
You know, it's terrible. I've never bought a concert shirt.
What? Not spend $85 on a $3 shirt with some screen printing on the front?
No, I know. So I don't have one.
You don't have one. Okay.
If I had to have one, this is going to be like kind of a lame answer. I'm actually a little bit ashamed by my answer here. The first concert I ever went to was actually the Chainsmokers.
The Chainsmokers.
When I was in college. Yeah. They had some popular songs, and I would say that just in remembrance of it being my first ever concert, and it made me like really enjoy going to them.
Chainsmokers. Okay.
Yeah.
That rips a few chords with me. Well, I'm going to go with my best one. So I went to Johnny Cash when I was like a young dude, and don't remember because I was just crawling around at the state fair, and I should have had some more appreciation at about 4 or 5 years old for Johnny Cash, but I didn't. Second concert I went to at the Alliant Energy, used to be the Dane County Coliseum, was the Beach Boys, and they're coming back out.
Man.
I think they're closing or opening Summerfest this summer. And,
oh my gosh, really?
Really. I think, I don't know if they're going to walk up there with walkers or wheelchairs. I should have respect for my elders, by the way, but they're going to be out there rocking away. And then my real first big concert was Paul McCartney at the old Soldiers Field before they landed the UFO inside the stadium back in 1990. And I have a Paul McCartney t-shirt that I absolutely adore. I don't know if you know who that is, but he played with the Beatles.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, we digress. But before we get to your story and see how the Sauk-Prairie Eagles are going to finish up this year here, I need to talk about the sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. With their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back. With locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Wanakee, and Mount Horeb, most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we'll talk about kind of the end of the season here as we're approaching postseason, what it's like and what happened up to this point. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened and get into what it's like now. And the postseason is upon us, and we discuss Sean's 5 suggestions for thriving. What was it like before and what happened? So the Sauk-Prairie boys basketball team ended their regular season with a 17-7 record. They finished 11-3 in the Badger Small Conference to take the conference championship. You split your final 2 games to make things a little interesting. Going into the season, is that how you thought it would play out with a Badger Conference Small Division Championship?
Not at all. And that's not me saying that like I didn't think this team could do great things. It's so hard to like envision the end of the year and like what you're going to be playing like, because as you know, this season's so long, like there's injuries, there's sickness, and we certainly went through a lot of it. But then at the end of the day, you also need to have a little bit of luck on your side. Like we've had so many late games in our conference games. And I want to say we had 3 game winners. We had a buzzer beater from the other team not go in, and then we had a buzzer beater from the other team go in. Like there's just been so many games where we've come out on top that easily could have gone either way. And so I think we were predicted to finish 5th in our league. And I think it's just a credit to our guys of like, we talk at the beginning of the year of the voices that matter versus the voices that don't. And the only voices that matter are the guys within our locker room. Everyone else, it doesn't matter. You know, they can think whatever they want. The writers can write whatever they want, but they don't impact anything on the floor. I'm just really proud of our guys to be able to have that moment. Is something that we've literally throughout the year. I mean, you talk a lot about like obviously mental health on this podcast and the power of visualization. Several times throughout the year, I've had our guys close their eyes and envision cutting down the nets at Portage. And to have that come to life is pretty damn awesome, man. And I'm really glad that they were able to have that moment, and I'm just really excited for them to have that as a memory for the rest of their life.
Yeah, you would split the last 2 games, and you posted something on Twitter about the shot clock to come into the state of Wisconsin. I know the shot clock exists in other parts of the country, and maybe you have some data as to, well, Wisconsin and so-and-so and so-and-so are the only 3 states who don't have it. But in your second to last game against Reedsburg, because maybe, who knows why, or this is their style of play, decided to slow it down big time. Mm-hmm. Talk about that, and then maybe sprinkle in some of your feelings on the shot clock, because everybody's got feelings for the shot clock. Go ahead and talk about that.
So at the beginning of this, you said, I seem like this guy who's confident, not cocky. And I think it's very interesting. Like, from the outside, people have this perspective of who I am. And there are certain things as a head coach that I feel like I have to live up to. I'm actually really disappointed in myself. And I'm just being very authentic with, I really want to be real with you here.
Yeah.
So, we lost to Reedsburg. And, they held the ball at half court for several minutes at a time. And yes, we could have come out and pressure them, and we did at times. And I took my frustrations out on the rules of the game. We have rules in our program of living like a champion, and rule number 3 is no whining, no complaining, no excuses. And I was totally in violation of the rule. I since have deleted the tweet because I realized that it was, again, I agree with like what I said, but I said it in the wrong way that I felt like was disrespectful to Reedsburg. They totally beat us fair and square. They outplayed us. But instead of like looking at myself and saying like, okay, well, what could I have done differently as a coach, or looking at our team and being like, okay, well, how can we be better on the defensive end? Because we were great on offense. We scored at a great clip. And so, I look at that, and I took my frustrations out on social media, and which is one of the dumbest things that you could possibly do. But I'm just also telling you that I'm very much human. Like, I'm a competitor. It comes with the nature of being a competitor. I don't want to be disrespectful at all to Reedsburg. I know that the damage might, be done there, but he did a great job. He coached a fantastic game. And for me, it was more like, I've talked to our team about process all year, and it was the first time I actually thought about product. Like, I wanted so badly to cut down the nets. Like, I was just thinking about conference championship instead of like possession by possession. And it totally came back to bite us in the butt. And luckily we got some help with Mount Horeb beating McFarland and now make it a 3-way tie at the time. But at that time I was like, we just lost the conference championship because we started thinking about the product more than the process. And so I apologize if I offended anyone with the tweet, but like, yeah, I just, having played with a shot clock in college, I just think it benefits the game so much. And I think end of games would be exponentially more exciting, and it would actually force us coaches to like coach the game and coach different parts of the game that we're maybe not used to. And I think it would just make us better. But yeah, I'm just being 100% real with you. I'm disappointed in how I reacted, because I am supposed to be a model for my kids and how they handle disappointment. And I felt like I wasn't a good one there.
I think you painted it exactly how it needed to be said. So if there's younger coaches, or a coach is listening to this in the middle of the summer or the fall as they're prepping for the season, things are going to happen. And you talked about being a competitor, and sometimes our competitiveness, overreacts and we do some things. And then some people go and try to bury that and not let it happen, or say it didn't happen or whatever. But here you are the season's over with, and you do exactly what a coach is supposed to do. And that is you took it, you owned it, and then you took the tweet down, and then you made some amends, and maybe, somebody forgave you for what happened. And most important, you probably forgave yourself, and then move on. And but it happens, and then you own it, and you do what you're supposed to do, and apologize, and be a role model for your team. And they learn from that. And here's our coach who is taking responsibility for some actions that he did that he deemed, not right. And you owned it, and you fessed up. I love that.
Yeah, I was just being pouty. I was being a whiner. It's exactly what I don't want my players to be. So look myself in the mirror and just be like, okay, that's not how I'd want my players to react. And we go from there. Just because I erased the tweet doesn't erase the fact that I said that. I totally understand that. But again, I'm a human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I don't expect anyone to be. So, yeah.
Good moral of the story and lesson learned, and a lot of people are going to take what you just said and apply that to their own situation. And as things worked out, they've probably worked out for you the last couple of days since that happened. So congratulations. Great move, Coach. Speaking of conference titles, when was the last time Sauk-Prairie cut down the nets or hoisted a Badger Conference championship?
Okay, so there's always been a part of me so the last time Sauk won one was in 2006, and I took over in 2018 or 19, and we then won one in 2023. But it was like our conference did a weird two-year experiment where we did Badger East, Badger West, and we had 4-team pods. Like it was very strange. Like you didn't even play the same teams, but ultimately, the one pod was Baraboo, Sauk, Portage, Reedsburg, and the other pod was like Monroe, Edgewood, Mount Horeb, Oregon. And whoever had the best record in their games played each other for a one-game take-it-all conference championship. So we actually won that in 2023 against Edgewood. We beat Edgewood twice that year. So, it's not like it wasn't like a fluke, but still there was a part of me that was like, okay, well, it wasn't a true play everyone on the road, play everyone at home. And so to have this one was, in my opinion, a little bit more rewarding. It's not taking away anything from the 2023 team because they were awesome too. Actually, they're very similar teams in my opinion. But this one just feels like, not that it's more real, but it just feels like it's like the more traditional route of winning it. So yeah,
a little more set up. The conference was set up similar to 2006. So we're looking at about 20 years with a conference title in there in 2023, but a little bit kind of different setup. So well, congratulations on the 2026 conference Badger Small Conference Championship. And you shared that with a couple other teams, so well-deserved. And I think you mentioned this back in January that teams were just going to beat up each other, and the conference champion did not go undefeated, did not lose one, but lost a few in there. So the second season, the postseason will start on Friday, March 6th, and we're approaching the end of February here. How have you handled that from a player standpoint in the past after all your 8 years in, correct?
Yep.
Has your postseason approach with the players evolved and changed, or have you used your past experiences from, being a college and high school player yourself, or how have things evolved in your approach to the postseason?
Yeah, so it's like a really fine balance between like, I want guys to play loose, and like I don't want them to be like, okay, this is it, it's all or nothing. But at the end of the day, it actually kind of is that way a little bit. So it's like, you don't want them to be so tight that they can't make any plays, but also not so loose that there's not that like urgency and focus. So I think early in my career, I was like really big on like, this is for all the marbles, like, and I put a lot of pressure on guys. Whereas now, like, I'm going to say the same things, right? Like, it's surrender the outcome. Like, only things we can control are attitude and effort. And if we lose, it's not going to be because we didn't play our absolute hardest. That's just going to be it. And as you know, towards the end of the year, it's more of like focusing on the mental side of the game in practice. Like, we're practicing for 45 minutes to an hour. We're doing a lot of mental work, a lot of free throw shooting, things like that. So it's very different from the beginning of the year where we were like kind of building that work capacity. Now it's just like, let's fine tune, let's stay healthy, let's be really in tune with the scouting report. And things like that. And being totally honest, like it's one of the big things that I have struggled with in my identity as a coach. I get very jealous. Like this is actually a really hard time of the year for me because I find myself really in comparison culture. Like when I have a lot of friends that are winning big playoff games and they're going to sectional finals, and I haven't had that success yet. And it's something I think about, and I put a lot of pressure on myself for our guys to get there. But I know that when it's gonna happen, it's supposed to happen, and all I can do is just control what I can control. So my wife will tell you, like I love basketball more than anyone. I mean, more than 99.9% of people. But like there are actually times towards the end of the year when we're out of it where I can't even get myself to watch it. I totally do get jealous that I haven't had that postseason success.
Well, I'm going to say this from the outside looking in, and I kind of know a little bit after all being around for as long as I have, and then being a former player and a college player and coaching as well, is that Sauk-Prairie High School and the school district should be very fortunate. They have a coach like you. And again, it's nothing against any of the other coaches that have come before you, but you've been through the grind. You know what it's like to play high school basketball and be successful. And you know what it's like to be successful at the college level. And you just understand that. What changes from a coach's perspective, your staff, and what do you do when it comes time to scouting and practices, and do roles change because you don't have the JV1 or the JV2 coach kids around? It's just your staff. Talk about the postseason staff real quick, and then what roles.
So I used to have everyone come in at that when JV and JV2 are done, have all the other coaches come in. And I've actually found that like there are some tweaks that we make at like a varsity level that I don't necessarily inform our lower level coaches about. And then sometimes they come in and they like coach a guy on something that I actually don't want them to even look at. So I used to have everyone come in, and I actually think it was like too many voices, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I've actually changed it where like our practices are going to remain the same. I don't bring anyone else extra up from JV. Not that I don't see value in that. It's just I want to keep things as consistent as possible. And so I'm going to have our JV and JV2 coaches, like they get some time off. They're still going to be with us with games, just like they always do. But at the end of the day, it's my assistant is Jake Keller, and he's awesome. You talk about me having gone through a lot of the playing stuff, in my past. We have awesome coaches that have all played in college and different things like that. Jake Keller played at MATC, Madison College, and then obviously Aaron Andres having played at St. Norbert. And then at the JV level, Todd Breinig played a little bit of baseball at Platteville, and then Pat Hopman, Coach Hopman, you know him. He played some baseball at Whitewater. So it's just we're really lucky to have great coaches, but I just try to keep it as consistent as possible.
How can you, before we get ready to take our break here, your junior year in college, you get to do something that only one other Division III college team, men's basketball team, gets to do, and that's to win, essentially kind of win your last game, other than if you don't make the playoffs and you win your last game in conference, and then it's over because you didn't make the tournament. UW Stevens Point makes the tournament in a kind of a unique fashion. And then it's probably something you can use because it may resemble the end of your season here a little bit. And then you win the national title. Talk about how that could have some similarities to this team this year. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I was actually just talking with our staff about this today. Like, obviously we took one on the chin at Reedsburg, and you can like look at that and say, oh my gosh, that's so terrible. Like we got to panic. But in the end, like that can actually result in a really good thing. My junior year, we were a very good team, but we lost to Oshkosh in our conference tournament early, not in the championship game. And I remember our players having a player only meeting in the locker room. And then all of a sudden we rattle off 6 games in a row. Like, so it's like, you know, sometimes those bad moments in hindsight are actually the things that kind of catapult you forward, as long as you learn from them. And so, yeah, like at the end of the day, you just have to put your head down possession by possession. And at this time of the year, like every possession is really, really critical. And it's really hard to get high school kids to realize that until I feel like you are a senior that's playing potentially in your last game. I remember the last game of my high school career, I ended with like 34 points and 19 rebounds, like just at a ridiculous stat line. But I remember that game, like my attention to detail was as high as it's ever been. Like I was literally playing for my playing career. And I'm very lucky that we have seniors that care already. And I just feel like that added pressure is going to like really amplify, you know, their ability to focus possession by possession.
You know, as you're talking here, I had trouble listening to what you were saying because the only thing I could think of is this. If I had a crystal ball and we're talking to you at the end of March and we bring this same story up that you lost to Oshkosh your junior year in college, and you lost to Reedsburg at the end of the season, and you're hoisting the gold ball. All I could think of was if this could somehow magically happen, that would be great for Sauk-Prairie, great for Coach McGann and his players, and also great for the Survive and Thrive 8791 podcast. That would be absolutely crazy if that is how it worked out. But regardless, it's been a great season, one that you didn't think was going to happen, but it actually did. You had some ups and downs, mostly ups, and then you finish on a big high note to end the regular season, and hopefully that occurs at the end of the postseason. Because our listeners want to hear the rest of your experiences and parts of this season, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask why Buck and Honey's. Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He is a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. Head boys basketball coach Sean McGann is in the Buck and Honey's remote studios with us today via cell phone. The Survive and Thrive 8791 crew has been following Coach McGann throughout the 2025-26 season. Today is part 4 of our 5-part series on the life of a high school basketball coach. We will visit with him one more time in March as he guides the Sauk-Prairie boys basketball team through the postseason. We have been with him through the ups and downs of the season as the Eagles captured the Badger Conference Small Conference Championship. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Today, I'm glad to be joined in the Buck and Honey's remote studios via cell phone by good friend, Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach, Sean McGann. He's here to share how the regular season ended in dramatic fashion and how he plans to navigate his team through the postseason. Segment 2, you are entering your 8th season as varsity head boys basketball coach. As a former head coach, I know there are ups and downs of the season. Just about everyone handles the ups the same way, celebrate. We're happy for the players, coaches, and everyone involved with the program. Unfortunately, there are downs or low points during the season. Even when you win, sometimes there can be situations that arise that can burst your bubble. Let's talk about the end of the season from a player and team standpoint. Only 5 teams in the state of Wisconsin, and that's high school boys basketball, finished the season winning their last game because everybody in high school basketball in the state of Wisconsin goes to the tournament. But only 5 teams get a chance to hoist that gold ball. I want you to share your experiences a little bit. You already shared the senior year high school part, but I want you to share a little bit of your college experience because, like many high school players, your college season ended and then you weren't going to the NBA. You weren't going to play overseas. You were going to go right into the work world and start teaching. Some of your high school players will go on and play, in particular the seniors. Some of them, this is going to be it. Mm-hmm. What was it like knowing you weren't going to be suiting up that senior year of your college career and it was going to be over with?
Yeah, we always say, like, at the end of the year, like, it feels like athletes have 2 deaths. Like, when you finish your playing career, it is like it's a feeling that you can't have perspective on until you're in that moment. Like, you understand it's coming, but it's like, once it's there, you do anything to get it back. And weirdly enough, like, my college experience was fantastic. Obviously, like, we were very successful. I made awesome lifelong friends. I got to play a lot of minutes, and, got to do some amazing things. But I really honestly don't miss playing basketball. I really do miss, like, the competition and, like, working with your teammates. But I get that in coaching. And so I when that moment happens for our guys, because it's going to happen, my thing is just, I'm going to be really encouraging them to make sure that they find something that makes them feel the way basketball did, and competition did. And whether that's getting into coaching, whether that is, getting into a different type of career that just, like, sets your soul on fire, you have to find something that you're really passionate about. And actually, I have my students go to and do an assignment on this website called Natural High, and it's all storytelling from celebrities, songwriters, scientists, anything, you name it, about how they had the opportunity to potentially get involved with drugs at some point in their life, but they chose the high road and didn't, and how the thing that they do gives them that feeling of, like, a natural high. For me, my natural high is competition. Like, when I'm competing, it just gives me a feeling that not a lot of other things can. And I'm just going to really encourage our guys to find that, because once you lose, especially as a high schooler, man, like, it's such a big part of your identity. And once you lose that, it can be really, really hard. But try to find yourself on some type of team and just install a lot of those same life lessons that you learn through sport into whatever you're doing.
I think that's great perspective because, as you know, there's probably coaches that can't wait to be done and they say, hey, great job, turn your stuff in on Monday and 1, 2, 3 team. And they leave and there's nothing like that perspective. You're tying in life lessons, and you talked about something that a lot of athletes talk about. They don't talk about the championship, or, I mean, they do, but they don't talk about the last game. They talk about the journey of being in the locker room and on that team bus or the jet, and, you know, the going to the dinners together, team meals, and all, you know, the rides to practices on those cold mornings. It's the journey that a lot of people talk about, and that's good stuff. What do you remember about walking off the floor for the last time of your playing career?
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to have parents that came to every game, and my sister was at every game she could be. And I just remember like really being thankful for, actually getting kind of emotional thinking about it, man. Like I just remember being very thankful that they were part of this journey with me. And it's still really cool to see, you know, every national anthem that I coach in now, I look over and I see my mom and my dad. And like for them to care so much about these high school boys is just like really meaningful to me. But yeah, I just remember like being really thankful for the journey. I think it's really hard for people to look back at it and have zero regrets. But our coach pushed us to limits that I didn't even think existed when I was in college. And so I look back at it, and could I have done more? Sure. But I was just really proud of myself for enduring college basketball, because I'm gonna be honest, there were a lot of moments my freshman year. I remember calling my mom and saying, I think I want to quit. And I'm so glad that they said, you made this commitment and you're going to see it through. And that's one of the best lessons I could have ever learned from them, like them not letting me just give up. And I would be kicking myself if I did give up, because of obviously all the things that panned out as a result of me seeing it through. But yeah, I just remember being ready for my next chapter. But at the same time, you know, for me as a coach, when I see our kids crying in a locker room at the end, I know that I've actually done my job. Like that's what it is. And like, I care heavily about the results. I'm not going to say I don't, but I'm always big. Like I'll always love the process. And for me to see kids out there crying because they care that much and it mattered that much to them, that's like really rewarding in a kind of weird way. I understand that, but I know that I've done my job in impacting them and them caring deeply about what they just did.
When did you feel, or when did it hit you that it was over?
As soon as I got on the bus. We were on the road at Eau Claire, and there was a small percentage of me. So like my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we played in the tournament, and I actually like just took it for granted that like, oh, we do that every year. And my senior year, we didn't. We went like 14-12, and we didn't make the tournament. And I kind of knew that we wouldn't, obviously, but there was still just a really small percentage of me that thought, oh, maybe. But once I got on the bus, I just like really hit me that like these are the moments that I'm gonna miss. Like sitting on a bus for an hour and a half with guys eating this like food that we got, and just like those types of memories. And I was really emotional. I remember crying a lot. I remember crying with my best friend because we were both graduating. And yeah, it's just, again, like that 2 deaths. It was really hard for me to really look at the fact that I've been playing sports since I literally can remember. And now I'm done. And it's sad. But I also know that I also got to play in college, and I know a lot of people don't get to do that. So I felt very fortunate.
Well, for those coaches that are listening, or anybody else that is listening with the intent of trying to get something out of this, I'm here to tell you that it is okay to cry if you're going to let them fly, let the tears fly.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever been in a locker room at the end of the year and not cried. I mean, I care about these guys so much, and I just like am forever grateful for how much effort they pour into this, because at the end of the day, they are kids and they have other thing outside of this. But yeah, just very thankful to have awesome players.
And it's going on that journey with them that we're all in it together, and if we're going to drop some tears, we're going to do it together. For coaches young like yourself, you'll be back next year. What goes through your mind when the season is over with as a coach?
That's a great question. I definitely do have a period of time where I just try to get away from the game, and mostly for like my wife's sake. Like by the end of the year, she's always like ready for basketball to be done, and I totally get it. She's holding down the fort when I'm gone all these late nights. But I mean, you know this, man. Like as a competitor, you naturally already go to like, okay, what's next? Like I was at my parents' house the other day, and I pulled out a note card and I just like am writing, and my mom's like, what are you doing? You know, or I think it was my wife asked me like, what are you doing? And I tell them, oh, I'm just like thinking about who's gonna potentially fill these spots over the next 3 years. Like who do we have coming up? It's just like it's a thing I have to do, but it's also like messed up that I have to constantly be looking ahead. And that's what makes it so hard. And that's actually why I've enjoyed this podcast, because it forces me to sit down and actually reflect. So often you're always just like, okay, what's next? And then 20 years goes by and you're like, crap, I didn't even enjoy that. I didn't even get to sit down and just be present with it. So, I definitely have some moment where I step away, but then I definitely do get back into eventually like, okay, what's next? How can we get better? How can we maximize our off season? What are opportunities that we can have for kids? And then setting up that crazy summer schedule.
Since the show has a mental health component to it, because there might be some young coaches that, again, maybe don't have that experience. Maybe they didn't play in college, or maybe they couldn't find anybody, has anybody coached? And well, I wrestled. Can you coach basketball? Absolutely. So maybe there's a guy or gal that has not played the game, but understands the X's and O's, or just shows up just to be maybe not even a coach, but an advisor. How have you handled the locker room after that final horn in your previous 7 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, it just goes back to this, like you win with people. Like relationships is the biggest thing that matters. And trust me, I've been saying that to myself a lot this year, but there are still times where it's like, the coach in you is like, okay, well, we need to get this guy better, and you get frustrated with kids. But at the end of the day, they're kids and they're trying their best. I really just try to embrace this group, because the sad reality is that it's the last time that this group is going to be together wearing that jersey. And there's a really just emotional part of that. Sorry if you hear my kid just babbling in the background. He's like really learning his voice right now. I just really try to, just have gratitude towards that senior class, especially for kids that didn't play too. Like they're very much a part of our group, and we need players that are like stars in their roles, even when they're not playing. And then also just like trying to, as best we can, get this into the mind of underclassmen of like, by the way, this is right around the corner for you guys. Like you will blink and this will be here, where this is you in their shoes. And, just understanding every day that goes by is one day closer, and how can you maximize each day? So it's just really like, I don't ever talk about why we lost the game or anything like that. That doesn't matter at that point. It's just supporting these people and their journeys, especially the seniors that are turning their new page to a new chapter.
You got some new coaches again listening, or maybe some other coaches looking, they've got some experience, they've got a bunch of years, but hey, I'm always learning new things from new and old coaches. What are some of the things you do in the 2 to 3 days following the season that need to be done? Collecting uniforms, obviously, exit meetings, evaluations. Talk a little bit about some of the kind of the stuff that needs to be done. The logistics.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. So got to do uniform collection and like inventory. That's a pain. I have great managers that help me a lot with that, but there's usually one kid that's missing something. So then you got to look that up and order that stuff. Exit meetings, set that up, get the banquet set up. Get your guys voting on like awards. We do some awards that players all vote on. And then the big thing is getting summer schedule. And I'm telling you, that is like a ton of work, because you can't just have it ready by the summer. You have to have it ready for at least a month before summer, so that you can actually, take note of, okay, we have this many kids signed up for this, so what our roster is going to look like for this moving forward. And I try to give our kids the most amount of opportunities possible. Like, in theory, now in the summer, dude, it's almost like you're playing another season. Like, you're playing 20 to 30 games, and then you still have skills. And I'm really picky about like who I let talk to my team. And so like outside voices, who can I trust to like give a good message and help our guys and move them in the right direction. So it's a lot of things moving forward. But by far the biggest one that I try to tackle the most is making sure our guys know what is available to them and getting that summer schedule figured out. And then having those meaningful conversations about, this is the hard part too, of having those conversations and be like, hey, here's where you're at. And I've told guys this many times, like, if you are the same exact player you are right now, I don't know if we have a jersey for you. And that's not to scare anyone or anything. It's just literally to like, so kids don't come back in November and be like, I wish you would have told me the truth. So I'm really truthful with guys in our one-on-one conversations, but they need to know where they're at and what they need to improve on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about those exit meetings, but those are things that you cover in that meeting of, you got to get better and you got to work on your right hand and left hand, and you got to be here more than you were last summer because you're a junior, or because you're a senior, you got to be a role, and you probably start laying out roles and responsibilities for, the different levels of kids, the seniors and the juniors, and there's lots of good stuff that can go into those exit meetings.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed having those. I always ask this kind of the same questions, like, describe your experience. What do you wish we did more or less of? And then kind of like, what are your hopes for next year, and individually and for the team, and how are you going to get there, and how can we help you? So I have great conversations with that, but then also it's a little bit of like evidence of like, hey, you said you were going to do this and you didn't. So now what, type thing, right? So you can't dodge those conversations. Those are really critical.
Good stuff for anybody listening that is looking to find out what other coaches do, and here's you laying it out, and you're laying it all out after a conference championship, and then we enter the postseason, and it's always an unknown, but I got to believe that you're going to have your kids ready, and Sauk-Prairie is going to hopefully win a few games, get themselves to the Kohl Center, and who knows what happens after that. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here with Coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions that are allowing him to survive and thrive the 2025-26 season so far. Here's what you shared, and we're going to go through these, and we've done these pretty much, and I think you can just touch on them again or talk as much as you want, but there's some really good stuff here. So number 1, stop placing value as a person into your record. Hit that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's much easier said than done. I'm going to be honest with you. After our Reedsburg loss, it's by far the hardest loss I've ever taken as a player and as a coach. I lost a lot of sleep. I got 1 hour of sleep that next night. So I say these things, and I really try to install them. But it's, again, at the end of the day, we're competitors and we want to win. But you got to focus on process.
Number 2, be around people who challenge you and make you better. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, and again, I've talked about my wife a lot, but she's seriously the rock. She lets me vent when I need to, but also tells me, hey, we got to move on. And so she definitely makes me better, and also my administrators make me better too. They challenge me and don't dodge those conversations either.
And number 3, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well, and you had a laundry list of people that you talked about this season. Have you added to that anyone? Go ahead and hit that.
I'm not sure if I've added since our last conversation. Again, Jeff Oxenkiel. I mentioned Brian Bester. I can reach out to him.
Former coaches, former football coach.
Coach Chris Siebert. Yep, Coach Chris Siebert, who's at Oregon. My current staff now. I know that there are other people that I easily could reach out to, but those are kind of the main ones.
Number 4, separate yourself from basketball when you're home. Be present, and never more important than this season, because you've got a little guy. Last season, you didn't.
And you know what? It's ironic that this is one of our better seasons we've had, and this is the least amount of film I've ever watched. In fact, actually, for our Portage game, I had our 3 starting seniors. I had them do the film edit, and it was just kind of good to have them, empowered to do that. So yeah, you can still get good things done and not focus on basketball 24/7.
And number 5, reframe things. Did you have to reframe things? Anything at all at the end of the season here?
Yeah, I mean, that Reedsburg game, right? Like, you got to okay, that can either catapult us forward, or we can dwell on it and feel sorry for ourselves. So yeah, I absolutely reframe. It's been a huge tool in my toolbox this year.
So good. Especially and you're going to keep evolving, because you've been at it now 8 years, and you're going to continue to grow and or reinforce some of the things that have led you to the 2025-26 Badger Conference Championship. And best of luck to you and the Eagles here in the postseason. What an episode. I'm so glad that you could take the time out of your busy teaching and coaching schedule and parenting schedule to join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your approach and how you plan to manage this season has been fun to watch. Your approach to the season reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a coach is met with the season's challenges. You have set yourself and your team up for success so that you and your players can survive and thrive. Coach McGann has been with us once a month throughout the season as a part of a 5-month series. We will wrap things up, fingers crossed, on March 21st with a gold ball in the trophy case. I don't know if we'll be doing the podcast on March 21st, but it'll be shortly after there, somewhere in there.
Yeah, love it.
Our call to action head coach, Sean McGann, just shared how his 2025-26 has been going and how he plans to survive and thrive through a varsity boys basketball season as the Sauk-Prairie Eagles enter the postseason. Here are head coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions to survive and thrive. Number 1, stop placing your value as a person to your record. Number 2, be around people who challenge you and make you better. 3, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well. 4, separate yourself from basketball when you're home. Be present. And number 5, reframe things. As we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, and as we enter the postseason, are there any final thoughts, Coach McGann?
No, but I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
Oh, okay. Boy, here we go.
I was talking with my staff about this. Next time we talk, I want your all-time Badger Conference starting lineup. All-time
Badger Conference starting lineup.
I love it. I look forward to hearing it.
Okay, that's my homework assignment. I'm also going to put in there maybe some reserves starting lineup, and maybe I'll include some reserves.
Okay.
The more
I'm all for that.
The more, the merrier.
Yeah.
On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.